All right, good afternoon once again, everyone. This is Dave Nadler with the National Weather Service here in Peachtree City. With another briefing on this event, we just sort of continued the ball rolling over the last couple of days, even though the threats and impacts have dropped off quite a bit with this system and continue to do so, which is good news. But I still, we obviously want to provide everybody the latest information, what we're seeing and what we're going to expect over the next a couple of days. So go ahead and get started here. So the main points, the winter impacts associated with this event through Saturday morning continue to look limited at best. That's a good thing. And what we still can anticipate some potentially isolated impacts of wintry precipitation and maybe some light icing, but overall the main threats and impacts are continuing to sort of diminish with this system, which is good news. And the reason being, for the most part, as we see any precipitation move across the area over the next 24 to 36 hours, most areas are going to be, the temperatures are going to be above 32, which is always the sort of the key mark as to whether or not we're going to see like accumulating ice or snow and, potential road issues. So that's a good thing. I'll show you these graphics here in just a second. And I do want to mention that the areas of concern for the most part are going to be across our far east central and southeast counties in middle Georgia, basically like late Friday, late tomorrow into the evening hours. And that's where we could see a very narrow window of light precipitation sort of overlapping with temperatures starting to approach or go slightly below 32 degrees. And then the other thing we want to mention, this could be a little bit more widespread, is the patchy black ice potential late Friday night into Saturday morning as temperatures drop into the 20s by daybreak on Saturday. So with that, also wanted to mention that this will be the final briefing we do on this event. We will continue to keep everybody up to date via email or chat as needed over the next day or so, but for the most part, we're not anticipating things ramping back up, so there's really not going to be any need to do any formal briefing after this afternoon. All right, here are the current conditions. As of about 1 o'clock this afternoon, you could see the cold front that we were talking about yesterday has moved across a good part of the area. It hasn't gone through the entire area just yet, but west central, northern Georgia, we got temperatures dropping into the 30s. And even the 40s along I-85 corridor. So that's kind of where the front exists. And you can see out along and ahead of it, you can see the radar, some light rain generally moving across the area from southwest to northeast. And we do anticipate this area of rain to continue to sort of slide south and east through the afternoon hours. And for areas up across far north Georgia where temperatures are starting to drop or at least approach 32 degrees, for the most part, the precipitation has ended across those areas. So we don't anticipate any widespread impacts through the rest of the day into tonight. So I wanted to show you guys this. On the left side, this is basically later on tonight through the early morning hours. On the left side is just where we expect the probability of any precipitation to occur. And you can see for the most part, a good chunk of the area is we're not expecting any measurable precipitation. If you're kind of along the I-85 corridor down toward Macon, there might be a 10 to 15% chance of seeing some very light precip develop. But for the most part, any of the precipitation is going to be confined to the far eastern and southeastern counties. And that's what associated with the front and the rain that we're seeing currently across the area. And you can see the temperatures around midnight tonight into the early morning hours. With any precip, they're going to be well above freezing. So we're not expecting any icing tonight into tomorrow morning. The only thing we might want to watch is a little bit of patchy black ice across the far northern North Georgia areas where temperatures are going to drop into the mid to upper 20s later on this evening and overnight. But for the most part, we're not expecting any major issues tonight into early tomorrow. Now, during the day tomorrow, this is the kind of a Friday morning snapshot. There's that another little wave that's going to be moving across the region Again, that pops up just a little bit. So we start to creep up to like 15 to 20% chance of seeing some very, very light precipitation for areas between Atlanta and Macon, and then east of Atlanta along the I-20 corridor. The probabilities of seeing any measurable precip are a little bit higher to the south and east. This is where, with temperatures that you can see on the right in that white shaded area, that's going to be sort of the zone between like maybe 32 and 33 degrees, where 1 or 2 degrees cooler, if it comes in a little bit cooler, there could be a little bit of a light glaze or light ice on elevated surfaces, trees, things like that. But again, for the most part, with these types of temperatures across the I-85 corridor, we're not expecting any road travel problems to exist due to ice or anything like that at this point. Now, as we go into tomorrow afternoon, temperatures are going to warm up a little bit more, with the exception of far north Georgia, but we don't expect really in the way of any measurable precipitation across far north Georgia. So anywhere where we do see some light rain develop across parts of middle Georgia, temperatures should be in the upper 30s to lower 40s for the most part. So again, we won't be dealing with any freezing rain or snow or anything like that. Now, heading into late Friday afternoon into Friday evening, this is where we start to see, we may see some issues develop with respect to light glaze or light icing on the elevated surfaces, trees, but we're not really expecting a whole lot in the way of precipitation anyway. But for areas along I-20 east of Eatonton towards the Augusta area, and then a little bit farther south is where we will start to be watching some areas where there could be a little bit of light freezing rain or freezing drizzle that develops after sunset tomorrow night. And then fast forward to temperatures after about 9 or 10 o'clock, you can see they cool off just a little bit more. So anywhere in blue, we're expecting temperatures to be below 32. In that white area, it's going to be right around 32 degrees or so, give or take a degree. And then in the red area, it should be above freezing by around 10 or 11 o'clock tomorrow evening. So with that, I kind of shaded an area where we would be a little bit concerned to see maybe a glaze or coating of freezing rain that develops. Again, we're talking about maybe 1/100 of an inch or 2/100 of an inch at most. So don't expect any issues on the roads. Main concern would be, again, bridges and overpasses maybe, and then maybe some trees and power lines and things like that. But with this light of an amount of precip that we're expecting, we really don't expect impacts to be widespread. Now, as we head overnight, Friday night and early Saturday, the temperatures are going to continue to cool off. But the good news is that any real, measurable precipitation is expected to continue to sort of move south and east of the area by daybreak on Saturday morning. So most of the area is going to be dry by Saturday morning when the temperatures really start to bottom out. So again, there could be some residual black ice or a little light glaze that develops south of I-20 to the I-16 corridor. Basically Dublin, Swainsboro, down to Claxton. Those areas we'll have to watch early Saturday morning. And then here are the temperatures as we roll into daybreak on Saturday morning. The lows will be generally in the mid to upper 20s, most areas, a little bit cooler to the north, and a little bit warmer across our far southern counties where temperatures may be about 30 to 32 degrees by Saturday morning. Again, precipitation should be over by Saturday morning. We will be concerned with some patchy black ice over bridges and overpasses, some elevated surfaces. But by midday Saturday, just about everywhere should be above freezing. So any ice that does develop early Saturday morning should be pretty much gone by midday Saturday. So here's a little impacts versus confidence graphic for you all. Again, we're not expecting any snow. There might be a few snow grains that get mixed in across far north Georgia later on tonight into tomorrow, but we don't expect that to be an issue. Freezing rain, the light freezing rain or freezing drizzle basically across areas east of I-75, south of I-20, down to the I-16 corridor, basically late Friday into Friday evening. The winds shouldn't be much of an issue, although we are seeing gusty winds with the front or behind the front develop, and that should continue for much of the area through the evening hours. But again, it shouldn't be a major impact. And again, the black ice would probably be our primary concern if we see like a light glaze or some freezing of any residual water on bridges and overpasses and other elevated metal surfaces late Friday night into Saturday morning. Confidence on this forecast is about a 4 out of 5. We feel pretty good about where things are at right now. Again, for the most part, widespread impacts aren't expected at all. And we're just going to have to watch some of those areas for some localized icing or a glaze that develops sometime later tomorrow into tomorrow night. So just to wrap things up, again, the overall winter impacts through Saturday morning across the area continue to look limited at best across the area. For the most part, any precipitation that occurs between now and late tomorrow afternoon, most temperatures are going to be above 32 degrees, and that's really a big part of why we're not overly concerned with the icing and accumulation for any ice at this point. The patchy black ice potential will exist even after the precipitation ends late tomorrow night into early Saturday morning, as we expect temperatures to drop into the mid to upper 20s for about 90% of the area by daybreak on Saturday morning. I mentioned earlier that this will be the final briefing we do on this event, and additional details will be shared through email or through chat as we start to evolve through this event over the next 12 to 24 hours. So with that, again, here are different ways that you can contact us, and we really appreciate everybody sticking with us over the last few days. If things have kind of changed for the better for the most part across the area, thankfully, compared to what we saw just a few days ago.